Good afternoon. It is 12 o'clock here in Vancouver, Canada. I am Taylor Hoglander and welcome to TJN News. Earlier this morning, we received some very groundbreaking news about the Blitz and the Battle of Britain that we would like to share with you this afternoon. Between the dates of September 7, 1940 and May 21, 1941, 16 British cities experienced severe devastation when their cities and communities were demolished by more than 100 tons of explosives, destroying houses, businesses, and everything that the citizens of these cities have become to know. These attacks began on September 7, 1940, when London was bombed by the Luftwaffe, a German air force, for 57 repetitive nights. A result of these attacks were more than 1 million houses damaged and destroyed, along with more than 40,000 fatalities. Over a period of 267 days, almost 37 weeks, London was then again attacked another 14 times. Birmingham, Liverpool, and Plymouth were also attacked 8 times, along with Bristol 6, Glasgow 5, Southampton 4, and Portsmouth and Hull being attacked 3 times. However, the bombings and attacks did not achieve its intended goals of demoralizing the British into surrendering or significantly damaging the war economy. The 8 months of bombing never seriously affected the British production, and the war industries continued to operate and expand. We will now talk to Josh Wicker in the field, reporting from London, Britain. Josh, can you please explain to us what is taking place right now in London, Britain, and why this is happening and the effects it is having on the people of this city?
Hi Taylor, and yes, here I am in London. It has been devastated by carpet bombing, buildings are in tatters, and it is a very grim sight. Hitler tried to gain air superiority over Great Britain to lead the way for a possible invasion by flying in a very impressive 160,000 soldiers over southeast England. Winston Churchill had fighter pilots trained in the hundreds to combat this threat, and they have pushed the Germans back and handed the Nazis their first defeat. It hasn't come with a price, though, as we received reports of upwards of 90,000 civilian casualties, and 40,000 of which have been fatal. Not only that, but over 1,500 RAF aircraft have been shot down, and over 530 British crew have been killed. So Winston Churchill decided that he would need to give a series of rousing speeches, and he did so and lifted the country off of its feet and led it to victory. With over 2,500 German aircrew killed and 967 Germans were captured, giving Britain a decisive victory. And Britain and all of her people are swelling with pride, knowing that they've given the Nazis their first defeat, and this should be a major turning point in the war if Britain can keep this up.
The Battle of Britain was the first major campaign to be fought entirely by air forces.
It was also the largest and longest aerial bombing campaign in history. Germany needed to defeat the British air forces in order to invade Britain.
Yes, although severely outnumbered, the British had radar which enabled them to outlast the German Air Force. However, the Battle of Britain actually stopped the Germans from invading again and locked Britain off the continent, making it dependent on the resources of the Empire and the US.
Yeah, and if Hitler could invade England and force their surrender, he might well have been the supreme ruler of Europe and maybe even the world, but an invasion would be impossible without being able to control the skies over Britain. Therefore, the Battle of Britain, or the battle for airspace over England, was one of the most decisive battles in history.
That's correct. However, for the Germans to successfully invade Britain, they had to wipe out the RAF before they tried to cross the English Channel. When the Luftwaffe failed to destroy the RAF, specifically Fighter Command, most people believed that Hitler had to call off the invasion and Britain was saved. The Battle of Britain marked the first defeat of Hitler's military forces.
And if Britain had lost the air battle, Germany might have gone ahead with Operation Sea Lion and could have invaded. Then this might have taken away the only practical staging area for America to invade the continent. It would have also relieved pressure because the American Air Corps did not have the planes that could reach the continent from Gibraltar. This means that the Germans might have devoted more energy to various weapons projects that could have thrown the balance in their favor, like rocket development, atomic weapons, as well as their jet program.
That's correct. However, the significance of the battle was much greater than that. After the failure to defeat Britain, Hitler has turned his attention east. Because Hitler wasn't able to invade England, he could have made the fatal mistake of attacking the Soviet Union. This might then allow Russia to win the Eastern Front and might also pull the USA into the war, and would allow them to attack on the Western Front.
Yeah, and if that occurred, it would make it very hard for the Germans to fight on the Eastern and Western Front at the same time, and this might cause Germany to slowly decline in power.
So, if the Battle of Britain had been lost, it is highly likely that Hitler would take his next step on taking over all of Europe.